Imagine a world where ancient bonds literally dictate your destiny, where one single act, a ceremonial rejection, can just shatter your life completely. But then paradoxically, that same betrayal, it carves out a whole new path you never saw coming.
It's such a powerful starting point, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
And this isn't just about one person's struggle. It's bigger. It's about a kingdom, like teetering on the edge of revolution. And we see it all through the eyes of someone who's dismissed, basically called nothing, stripped of absolutely everything.
Yeah, the narrative just throws you right in, no easing into it. You're immediately in this world with these really rigid social rules where what one person does can ripple out and affect the whole kingdom. It grabs you instantly.
Absolutely. So today we're doing a deep dive into this really extraordinary story. It unpacks this complex web of power, betrayal, identity, and just the surprising resilience of the spirit, whether human or, in this case, werewolf. We're going to explore how one woman's journey, and it is harrowing, from total public humiliation to, believe it or not, leading a kingdom, reveals some pretty profound truths, about destiny, justice, and how sometimes we find our place in the most unexpected ways.
And our mission here, our goal for this deep dive, is really to pull out the most compelling pieces of knowledge, the insights from this really rich source material. We're going to look closely at what makes these characters tick, their motivations. We'll analyze the politics, which are intricate, the maneuvering happening behind the scenes, and really dissect the incredible transformation of the main character, Lyra Thornfield. Ultimately, we want to understand those deeper currents, the ones that shape not just this fictional world, but maybe even how we think about power, about allegiance, and, finding your identity when everyone else seems to define it for you.
Okay, let's jump right in because, like you said, it starts with a bang. A devastating public event. Our main character, Lyra Thornfield, is publicly rejected by her mate, Garrett Ironwood.
Yeah, the supposed mate.
Right. And it's not just like a difficult breakup, it happens under a blood moon, which adds this whole layer of ancient ritual, this ominous feeling.
Very symbolic.
Incredibly. The description is just visceral. It says, Lyra's scream echoed through the forest as the mate bond snapped, sending shockwaves of agony through every nerve in her body. She hits the ground hard, dirt and leaves grinding into her palms as her wolf howled in anguish. And Garrett's words, just chilling. I, Garrett Ironwood, reject you, Lyra Thornfield, as my fated mate before the goddess in this pack. And the source says it just hangs there like a death sentence.
And it's so important to get this. The mate bond here isn't just emotional. It's not just romance.
No.
It's described as a literal magical connection, a soul tie. So when he rejects her, it's a physical severing. It's agony. It's not just heartbreak. It's like being torn apart spiritually and physically. And calling her a fated mate, that implies she's flawed, incomplete. It just reinforces this idea that she's worthless. And doing it publicly, in front of everyone, it's pure ceremony designed to strip her of everything. Her standing, her identity, her essence.
And the consequences are instant. You feel the judgment from the whole pack, the Shadow Peak pack. Their faces are lit by this red moon glow. It makes them look like this condemning jury. And Lyra is already so vulnerable. She's a foundling, no known family, just found and taken in. And she's an Omega, which in their world means bottom of the ladder. Weak, disposable, voiceless.
Right.
So this event, it's catastrophic for her. Her entire worth was tied to others accepting her, and now that's gone. Publicly revoked.
It's a perfect illustration of social control, isn't it? How these rigid systems can use sacred rituals, communal events to enforce the rules and punish anyone who doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Her starting point is rock bottom. It shows just how vulnerable people at the bottom are when their whole being is defined by what others say about them, utterly stripped of identity and autonomy.
And the real kicker, the architect behind it all, her stepsister, Celeste.
Oh, Celeste.
Right. She's there, dabbing her eyes, looking like devastated innocence. But Lyra sees it. She catches the flash of triumph in those pale green eyes, the barely concealed smirk. Celeste even whispers this fake apology. I'm sorry, sister, I couldn't let him live a lie anymore. While telling everyone she saw Lyra with some rogue wolf. A total lie.
It's just classic manipulation, calculated cruelty. Celeste looks petite and delicate, but she's insidious. She uses lies that play right into the pack's existing prejudice against Lyra, the foundling, the outsider.
Exactly.
And the source says the lie hit the gathered wolves like wildfire. That shows you the power of a well-placed lie, especially when it confirms what people already suspect or want to believe. It really makes you question how much truth is just narrative control.
And it just crushes Lyra. Garrett's disgust breaks what's left of her heart. She tries to explain the truth. She was actually helping deliver a baby, a noble act. But it's useless. Who would believe her word against Celeste? It's a brutal example of how appearances and narrative can completely overshadow truth. She's defenseless.
And it raises that question about appearances versus reality, doesn't it? Celeste isn't just being mean, she's strategic. She weaves her personal grudge into this social and political move, using the pack's bias against Lyra. It shows how personal malice can be a tool for manipulation, destroying someone's standing without lifting a finger.
So Lyra's at her absolute lowest. Shamed, rejected, worthless in everyone's eyes, and just when you think it cannot possibly get worse,
Something else happens.
a royal messenger bursts in. Word from the capital. And it's a decree. Prince Rowan Stormwind, the king's second son, has chosen a bride from their pack. And guess who? Lady Celeste Thornfield.
Wow, talk about a twist. The mood just shifts instantly, doesn't it? From pack drama to high-stakes politics.
Yeah.
Because like the source says, royal messengers only came with news that changed everything. A royal marriage isn't just personal, it's protection, wealth, and unimaginable honor for the whole pack. It shows the sheer power of the crown. One decree changes everything.
But Celeste's reaction, it's immediate and it's panicked. Her face goes white as fresh snow. She shrieks, "I cannot marry him." Why? Because everyone knows the prince is broken, twisted from the war. They say he's more beast than man now. Oof. And then she actually cries out, "I cannot bear children to a crippled monster." It's just, wow. But refusing. That's basically declaring war on the kingdom.
Yeah.
Huge consequences.
It really hits home the stakes involved in these political alliances, and also that deep societal fear and stigma around disability or perceived weakness, even for royalty.
Yeah.
Celeste's reaction shows how ingrained those prejudices are. She'd rather risk her entire pack's safety than marry someone seen as crippled. It makes you wonder about the rumors surrounding the prince. How much is true? How much is just perception shaping reality?
And the pack alpha, Blackthorn. He doesn't hesitate. Celeste refuses. The pack is in danger, so he immediately points to Lyra. Lyra will go. She understands her obligations to this pack.
Of course he does.
Lyra, understandably, tries to refuse. "No, I won't be your sacrificial offering, you ungrateful wretch." But she's forced into it. Threat of banishment, the pack's survival depends on this royal alliance. Otherwise, the northern clans will overrun them.
It's such a deep moral bind for her, isn't it? Sacrifice yourself for the very people who just destroyed you, who showed you nothing but contempt.
Right.
But even in that moment, you see a spark of defiance. That sense of injustice flares up. She throws it back at them. "Why should I care? You all just watched my mate reject me based on lies, and not one of you spoke in my defense." It's powerful. She's finally finding her voice, even in despair.
It is. And Celeste, predictably, twists the knife again, hisses at her, "Because you're nothing, a foundling. You should be grateful we kept you alive this long."
Yeah.
But instead of breaking Lyra further, those words, they spark something cold and hard inside her, like strength born from hitting rock bottom.
And it forces you to think about that burden of duty. When does self-preservation give way to this ingrained obligation, even when it's totally unappreciated? The Alpha's final threat is chilling. "Choose wisely, Lyra. Your pack's blood is on your hands either way."
Impossible choice.
Totally impossible. But then there's that little whisper as she walks away. A crucial detail. She overhears someone saying about the prince. They say he's not really disabled at all, moves like a warrior when no one's watching.
Oh, the first hint.
Exactly. The first crack in the palace facade. It suggests there's a much deeper game being played long before Lyra even arrives.
So her world just explodes outwards, from personal nightmare to kingdom-wide problems. She goes on this journey, forced really to the royal palace of Stormwind, and right away she sees it as a gilded prison, an overwhelming display of power.
Intimidating.
Massively. Soaring spires, gleaming walls, golden banners, each one worth more than her entire pack's yearly income. But despite all that grandeur, she arrives and boom, another humiliation. The herald announces her and the courtiers just whisper nasty things.
Quite plain, isn't she? What pack did she say she was from? Judging her looks, her unknown background.
It sets up that stark contrast immediately, doesn't it? Her background versus this suffocating opulence and the psychological weight of walking into that kind of judgmental, stratified place. How do you keep your dignity when you're dismissed just based on how you look or who your family isn't?
Yeah.
But her resilience, that inner strength we saw hints of, it's there again. The source says, she kept her chin high and her expression neutral. She'd survived worse humiliations than curious stares from pampered nobles. She's observing, not breaking.
You can really feel her isolation, though. Walking those corridors, all polished marble reflecting her insignificance. Portraits of kings judging her. It's a constant silent pressure. Absolutely. The palace itself feels like a character, constantly reminding her and us about the importance of presentation, reputation, bloodlines in this world.
Things she doesn't have in their eyes.
Exactly, which makes her the perfect person to see through the deception because she's already outside the system that relies on those appearances. It sets the stage perfectly for her to uncover the truth. Nothing is what it seems there.
And that deception kicks in right away. She's presented to the king, Aldrich, and he basically tells her, thanks, but no thanks. Prince Rowan has already chosen Lady Cordelia Ashford.
Dismissed again?
Instantly. Then Rowan appears, and he looks exactly like the rumors described. Thin to the point of frailty, hunched in a wheelchair, speaking with a pronounced stutter. Seems weak, broken. But then, Lyra, with her sharp eyes, catches it. Just for a second. A sharp and calculating look in his pale green eyes, something that totally contradicts the whole performance.
That's the key moment, isn't it? Brilliant narrative misdirection. It shows the power of perception, how feigned weakness can be a sophisticated tool in politics. The king dismissing Lyra reinforces her apparent unimportance. But Lyra's observation, it immediately throws doubt on everything, especially the true mate bond Cordelia claims to have with Rowan. That single look from Rowan changes everything.
And Cordelia plays her part perfectly, too.
Yeah.
Lyra isn't golden-haired, delicate, and she announces sweetly, Prince Rowan and I discovered our true mate bond just yesterday. Such a miraculous thing. It's all so neat. Too neat.
Right. And that glimpse of Rowan's true nature versus the public act, it tells you the deception in this palace runs deep. It means almost nothing is genuine at this level. And Lyra, despite being an outcast, has this intuition, this ability to see past the masks.
She knows he's not the crippled monster.
Exactly. It hints at a huge intrigue simmering just below the surface. It shows us Lyra isn't just a victim, she's becoming a truth seeker.
Definitely. So after Cordelia basically humiliates her at dinner, Lyra gets shipped off to the servants' quarters. Her official status.
Yeah.
Unwanted charity case. Yeah. She's scrubbing floors, hauling laundry, serving nobles who looked through her as if she didn't exist. Sounds awful, right? Isolating. Mind-numbing.
But here's the twist. Being invisible, being low status. It gives her access. Access to parts of the palace she'd never see as a guest. And crucially, opportunities to watch Prince Rowan when he thinks he's alone.
And this is where her observational skills become her superpower. That change in perspective from guest to servant lets her see through the cracks in the system.
Right.
She catches him dropping the act repeatedly, sees him move with fluid and purposeful grace, pulling a heavy book off a high shelf with the easy grace of a natural athlete. It shows incredible self-control on his part to maintain that facade for so long.
It really does. One minute he's fumbling and stammering in public. The next, when he thinks no one's looking, he's perfectly capable. And she even overhears him complaining to Captain Drake, how much longer must I play the weakling for my dear uncle's benefit?
Boom. Confirmation.
Exactly. She knows for sure now. The whole thing is an act. Which raises the massive question, why? What could possibly be worth this elaborate, years-long charade for a prince? It has to be something huge. Something high stakes.
Yeah.
And Lyra's position, her perceived insignificance, paradoxically gives her the perfect lever to figure it out. Being an unwanted charity case makes her invisible, the perfect observer.
And while she's figuring out Rowan, she stumbles onto something even bigger, a secret rebellion simmering right under the king's nose.
Right, she can't sleep. Maybe her instincts are kicking in.
Maybe. She overhears a secret meeting in an unused storage building. And it's not just disgruntled servants. Palace guards are involved. Captain Darian, Sage, Tobias. They're planning a full-on rebellion against King Aldrich.
Wow.
And they're talking about really dark stuff, relocation camps, werewolf packs just disappearing systematically.
That reveals the dark underbelly of Aldrich's reign, doesn't it? The genesis of revolution often lies in shared grievances like that. Systematic persecution, disappearances. It's terrifying, and it explains why people would risk everything to fight back.
You can feel their urgency. One of them says, can't wait much longer. Every day we delay, more packs disappear. The stakes are escalating fast.
And they're unsure about Rowan, right? They don't trust the crippled prince persona.
Exactly. But they do notice Lyra. They see she's observant, asking questions. They decide she's potentially both dangerous or useful, precisely because she's been rejected and has nothing to lose.
That's fascinating. Her outsider status makes her a wild card. One of them notes, she had the look of someone seeing past the surface.
Yeah.
Which throws Lyra into this huge moral dilemma. Does she stay a victim of the system that crushed her? Or does she choose a side in this incredibly dangerous game, risk her life for a cause?
A cause that might actually give her purpose.
Exactly. Her past rejections, which made her feel worthless, suddenly give her a unique kind of value to the rebellion. She has nothing left to lose by fighting the system, and maybe everything to gain. It's a great example of how revolutionary movements recruit the disaffected, seeing potential where others see only outcasts.
And this is where Lyra really makes the leap. From just watching to actively doing something. After days of thinking it over and seeing Garrett and Celeste looking happy at a feast while she's serving them, that's the tipping point.
Yeah, that contrast must have been brutal.
The source says watching them had crystallized something hard and cold in her chest. And she thinks, if the current system could discard her so easily, perhaps it was time for a new system entirely. So she decides. She's going to that midnight meeting with the rebels.
That's such a huge psychological shift. It's not just one betrayal anymore. It's the culmination of all the injustices, seen through the lens of her own servitude. That ignites the desire for systemic change, not just personal escape.
Right. She decides she would go to that meeting. She would hear what Captain Darien and his rebels had to say. It's her stepping out of victimhood, taking control of her own story.
It really is. Reclaiming her agency. It makes you think how personal pain can fuel a fight against broader injustice. Those individual wounds become the drive for collective action. And ironically, she finds new loyalty, stronger loyalty, from the ashes of the old betrayal.
It's not just about survival now.
No, it's about purpose. Finding a place, and ironically, she finds it with other outcasts, not the pack she was born into, or rather found by.
And these new bonds, this new loyalty, it's forged through intense training. She spends 3 weeks in secret sessions with the rebels down in an abandoned stable. They teach her pack magic.
The forbidden magic.
Exactly, forbidden for lone wolves. It involves a shared consciousness, boosts their abilities, links them together. Lyra's hesitant at first, being alone her whole life, but she embraces it. It feels like coming home. She's a natural at it.
That's fascinating. It really shows the power of unity and trust, especially when the official structures, like her old pack, completely failed her. This found family gives her belonging, but also real strength.
And it's not just metaphorical strength.
No, the description makes it clear it's literal. A network of shared consciousness. She can tap into their skills, their senses.
Yeah, her combat skills improve dramatically. She can anticipate Darien's strikes before he made them, drawing on Sage's tactical knowledge and Tobias's speed. She's not just surviving anymore, she's thriving, excelling.
Which highlights the power and the danger of this forbidden magic for the rebellion. It makes them incredibly effective, a cohesive unit. But if they're discovered, huge risk. It shows how marginalized groups find power in unconventional ways, and her being a natural, that hints there might be more to her identity than just foundling.
Definitely feels that way. So, with these new skills, the rebels give her a massive mission, high stakes, break into King Aldrich's private study.
The inner sanctum.
Right, to get intelligence on his plans for those relocated packs. And they time it perfectly, the night of Prince Rowan's engagement party. The distraction provides perfect cover.
Classic spycraft. It highlights how crucial intel is for any underground movement. The planning is meticulous down to that 15-minute window around midnight during the guard change, exploiting the system's routines.
Lyra's terrified, understandably, her heart hammering against her ribs as she faces that heavy oak door, and the irony, risking everything during a celebration of the very system she's fighting.
It really ramps up the tension. The risk is immense, not just for her, but for the whole rebellion. If she fails, they could all be exposed. It shows the courage it takes to challenge oppression, the price of freedom.
And then the ultimate twist. Inside the study, she runs right into Prince Rowan.
Whoa!
But he doesn't walk in fumbling. He strides in, fluid, purposeful strides, zero trace of the act. He finds a hidden key, unlocks the exact portfolio she was after, and then just casually says he knew she was there. Detected her scent. Orange blossoms and steel.
That's a game-changing moment. Two secret paths just collide. It shatters Lyra's perception of him. She's not just observing his deception anymore, she's confronted by it.
Face to face.
Yeah. And it creates this instant, complex, new dynamic between them. Shared secrets, mutual understanding of the game. His casual tone, at this point I think we can dispense with formalities, is so confident, so unnerving.
Lyra snaps back, showing her own steel. You'd be surprised what damage a kitchen knife can do in the right hands. But it fundamentally changes things. Rowan isn't just pretending, he's a master player.
It forces that question. How does this revelation, his awareness of her, change her understanding of the power dynamics? She's suddenly not just an observer, she's potentially a player in a much bigger, more dangerous game than she realized. It's a huge shift.
And Rowan doesn't wait. He just lays it all out. Confesses the disability is an elaborate charade kept up for years to fool his uncle, King Aldrich. Aldrich sees him as too damaged to be a real threat.
Clever, deceptively clever.
Rowan's real mission, to stop Aldrich's plan for the virtual slavery of werewolves. The documents confirm it. Mandatory registration, restrictions on shifting, eventual segregation. Horrifying stuff.
It explains everything. That strategy of working from within, playing the long game, enduring years of humiliation to be perfectly positioned as an unseen threat.
He says it himself. My uncle sees me as a useful tool. It's the perfect position from which to gather intelligence and interfere with his plans.
It shows incredible dedication. A leader willing to sacrifice his own image, his comfort, for a greater good. It also raises questions about the morality of manipulation, even for a noble cause.
And he confirms he's been feeding intel to Captain Darien, to the rebels, all along, playing multiple angles. He tells Lyra she's a potentially important ally, trusts her immediately.
That transforms Rowan completely, doesn't it? From mysterious figure to strategic mastermind. He's not just trying to survive, he's actively fighting for a more just future, trying to prevent both enslavement and civil war. His pragmatism, his principles, it's complex. The years of deception speak volumes about his commitment.
And the stakes just keep ratcheting up. They're at a royal hunting party, seems normal, then boom, assassins attack. Coordinated.
Not random.
Not at all. And this is where Rowan completely drops the act in public. Rises from his wheelchair, fluid surge of power, fights like a predator in his element, reveals his true warrior self to everyone.
The mask finally comes off.
Completely. And Lyra, pure instinct, tackles Cordelia to safety, then turns and fights back-to-back with Rowan. Their coordination is described as instinctive, like they've done it 100 times.
That's the breaking point, isn't it? Years of strategy just vanish in the face of raw survival instinct. Rowan's transformation, the blanket falling away, revealing muscles trained for years, it's visually stunning. And that shared danger, fighting together, it forges a bond instantly.
You can almost see it happening. They move together as if they'd been fighting side by side for years, each covering the other's blind spots. It's trust built through action, not words.
And it shows how hidden strengths emerge under pressure. That connection between them becomes undeniable. Plus, the attack itself signals deeper treachery. Too well coordinated. Possibly Aldrich trying to solve two problems at once. Get rid of Rowan and solidify his own power. This isn't over.
Not by a long shot. Because then Rowan drops the real bombshell. The one that changes everything about the kingdom's history. King Aldrich. He's a usurper.
Whoa.
Rowan reveals Aldrich murdered his father, Prince Edmund, the elder son, the rightful king. Murdered Rowan's mother and younger sister too, when Rowan was just 16.
My God.
Rowan only survived because he was away at military school. And ever since, he's been secretly gathering proof, building alliances, planning to take back his rightful throne.
That explains everything. Aldrich's paranoia, his cruelty, his persecution of werewolves, and Rowan's entire motivation, the years of deception. It's revenge, but it's also justice, reclaiming a stolen legacy.
The way he says his family's deaths were made to look like an accident during a hunting trip, rather like the day's attempt actually.
It paints Aldrich as utterly ruthless. And it shows this conflict isn't just political, it's deeply personal, spanning generations. Rowan isn't just fighting for power, he's fighting for justice for his murdered family. He's been gathering evidence, proof of his crimes, documentation of his systematic persecution, evidence of corruption that reaches to the highest levels. It's a long game.
A very long, dangerous game.
Yeah.
It really reveals the brutal nature of these royal power struggles. Hidden history, murder, betrayal, all shaping the present. It makes Rowan's character incredibly deep, patient, calculating, but driven by this profound need for justice.
But the danger is immediate, and it's coming from multiple directions now. Captain Drake brings bad news. The rebels know Lyra met Rowan in the study. They suspect her loyalty.
Understandable from their perspective.
Right. And at the same time, Rowan finds out Cordelia, his supposed fiancée, is actually Aldrich's spy. Planted to watch me and report on any signs that I'm more capable than I pretend to be. Her perfect mate bond. Just another lie. Another manipulation.
That's brutal. Double betrayal.
It highlights the paranoia within revolutions, doesn't it? Information is everything. Loyalty is constantly questioned. And the espionage. Even intimate relationships are weapons. You see the toll it takes on Rowan, his bitter resignation about Cordelia.
So Lyra's trapped.
Yeah.
Caught between the rebels who don't trust her and Aldrich who now knows Rowan's not crippled. An impossible spot.
How does she even navigate that? It's the ultimate test. She has to bridge this massive divide, make a choice that could determine the fate of everyone. It shows how far she's come, from outcast to pivot point.
And she steps up. Faced with the rebel suspicion, Aldrich closing in, she tells Rowan she'll go to the rebel meeting. She'll try to convince them that overthrowing one tyrant doesn't have to mean rejecting the possibility of a just king.
Wow. That takes incredible courage.
She says, I know right from wrong, and whatever else you are, Prince Rowan, you're not wrong about your uncle's crimes. It's this moment of absolute moral clarity.
That's a huge moment of decision for her. She's taking on real leadership, making incredibly difficult choices, navigating these conflicting loyalties. She's moving beyond her own pain to see the bigger picture, trying to find a path to a stable, just transition, not just chaos.
She admits she's not totally sure where her loyalties lie, but I know right from wrong. Advocating for Rowan to the rebels, despite everything, it shows this growing trust, this strategic mind.
It really reveals her leadership potential, doesn't it? She's a negotiator, a visionary, and that shared understanding passing between them that went deeper than words. Their bond is solidifying, rooted in shared purpose, not just shared danger. A true partnership is forming.
But then disaster strikes. Pre-dawn screams from the dungeons. Horrifying.
Oh no.
Many rebels have been captured. Captain Darian, Sage, even Lyra's roommate Mira, Mr. Hartwell confirms it, 15, maybe 20, are going to be publicly executed at dawn. Aldrich wants to make an example.
That's the iron fist of authoritarianism. Public spectacle to crush dissent. And the personal cost for Lyra, the people who finally accepted her, her found family, are facing death. Those screams like the wails of the damned. Just awful.
It creates this desperate urgency. Lyra's mind is racing. There had to be something, some way to help them. Rowan is devastated too. Feels responsible. They're going to die because of me. I wasn't careful enough. The weight is crushing them.
So what do? Rowan's cover is blown, his allies are captured, his own life is on the line. They need a new plan, fast. The execution makes it personal, demanding immediate, desperate action.
And Lyra comes up with one. Desperate, dangerous, probably suicidal. She'll surrender herself, claim she's the rebel leader, create a diversion so Rowan can get the evidence out.
Sacrifice herself.
Yeah. Rowan refuses, absolutely refuses. I won't lose you, not after everything what I've finally found. And then he just confesses, tells her he loves her. Too much, more than I have any right to feel. They kiss, this raw need and mutual recognition, a bond forged in fire.
That's the ultimate act of self-sacrifice, isn't it? For the cause, but more profoundly for him. And it prompts his confession. It solidifies their true mate bond, not through ritual, but through pure devotion, right there on the brink of disaster. That kiss holds all their fear, their longing, their hope.
It really underscores that theme of finding connection in chaos. That bond gives them strength for impossible choices. Lyra says, those people down there accepted me when no one else would. I won't abandon them to save myself. It's about loyalty to her found family.
It connects right back to her whole journey for belonging. She finally found her place, her people, and she'll die for them. It gives the moment incredible weight. Love and loyalty in the face of death.
But just as they're forming this desperate plan, another complication. Garrett Ironwood, her ex-mate.
Oh, him again.
He requests an audience. Claims he has info on Lyra's rebel involvement, info she knows must have come from Celeste. Lyra realizes Garrett thinks he's saving her from herself, from being anything other than the broken little Omega he rejected.
Talk about timing. Past trauma rearing its head at the worst possible moment. But Lyra's different now, isn't she?
Completely. She faces him with clarity, defiance, not pain. Her internal anger is sharp. He probably thinks if he rescues me, I'll come crawling back to him. But she's past that.
And her strategic mind kicks in.
Instantly. She thinks Garrett Ironwood is about to learn what happens when someone underestimates me one too many times. She sees a way to use this old betrayal as part of their new desperate plan.
That's brilliant. Full circle. Her past, which used to define her as nothing, now becomes a tool, an unexpected opportunity. It's a psychological win before the battle even starts. She's mastered her own history.
So the scene is set. Dawn. The execution platform. Aldrich is addressing the crowd, condemning the traitors, a spectacle of tyranny.
Maximum fear.
But then Rowan makes his entrance. No wheelchair. Walking with fluid, predatory grace, revealing the charade to the whole kingdom. And he's carrying that chest, bound with iron, holding the evidence.
The grand reveal, perfectly timed, using Aldrich's own spectacle against him. Rowan challenges him directly. Uncle, I believe there are some things that people should know. Aldrich's face goes white as parchment. His power just evaporates.
And Captain Drake makes his move, steps forward with loyal guards, turns on Aldrich. These men serve the true heir to Stormwind. The crowd erupts. Rebellion.
It's the triumph of truth over lies, played out in public. The shift in legitimacy is instant, visible. Years of planning culminating in this perfectly executed moment. Despair turns into uprising.
The battle explodes, rebels in the crowd join in, and Lyra, a moment of pure liberation. The silver chains binding her wolf just fall away. Her wolf surged back to life. She grabs a sword and fights with this incredible ferocity and skill.
All her training unleashed.
And she fights alongside Rowan. Their instinctive coordination is back, a partnership in its purest form.
It's the culmination of everything for her, isn't it? Healing, training, finding her potential, that savage joy she feels. This is what she'd been born for, to fight for something worth dying for. She's fully realized. No longer a victim, but a warrior.
Their fighting is like a deadly dance. Seamless, covering each other, supporting each other. It's their bond made physical on the battlefield.
Forged in fire, tested in battle, it makes them an incredible force together.
But then, another shocker. Just as loyalist reinforcements arrive, Celeste Thornfield appears.
Celeste, what now?
Leading her pack and others, banners flying. But she doesn't join Aldrich. She crashes into the loyalist flank, shouting, "For Lyra Thornfield, for the true wolves of Stormwind!" Her intervention shifts the tide.
Wait, what, Celeste? Is that a genuine change of heart? Or just pragmatism, recognizing which way the wind is blowing?
It's ambiguous, isn't it? And such complexity. Even the antagonist plays an unexpected role.
Wow, okay, so the battle rages, and it comes down to single combat. Aldrich invokes the ancient right against Rowan.
He uses a silver sword, consecrated specifically for killing wolves. His intent is clear.
Utterly ruthless.
Rowan is wounded, but he faces him. Aldrich fights dirty, ruthless calculation. He goes for the killing blow at Rowan's neck.
And Lyra.
Lyra throws herself between them, takes the silver blade meant for Rowan, right through her heart.
Oh my God.
That ultimate sacrifice. Even as she falls, Rowan's sword finds its mark in Aldrich. The tyrant is dead. But Lyra, she whispers, "I love you, just in case I want you to know." And then she's gone.
That adherence to tradition, single combat even then, and her sacrifice, it's tragedy and triumph all at once. Her final words that validates everything, their true bond, forged through everything, it's devastating.
It is. The ultimate proof of their connection, surpassing any ritual. It's a moment of profound loss, but also the final victory.
Yeah.
But it's not the end for her.
Wait, really?
Miraculously, she awakens. After 3 days unconscious, healed by sage's herbs, pack shaman connections. Her new pack saved her. Rowan's been there the whole time keeping vigil. Exhausted but relieved.
Wow. That shows the resilience, doesn't it? And the power of that community, that found family. She wasn't alone. What a relief after everything.
And Rowan, now king, doesn't just take the throne. He does something radical. He proposes a co-monarchy with Lyra. An equal partner with equal authority. Completely breaks royal tradition.
Co-monarchy, based on merit, not bloodline.
Exactly. He says, bloodline doesn't make a leader. Lyra character does. He praises her courage, her leadership, her ability to inspire.
That's incredibly progressive for their world. Redefining leadership based on character, proven ability, and choosing Lyra, the Omega, the foundling, it signals a massive shift in values. He's pragmatic too, knowing the old guard is too busy distancing themselves from Aldrich to object.
And then, the personal culmination. He kneels by her bed, not as king, but as Rowan. Proposes a true mate bond. Not for politics, not for alliances, but because I love you more than I ever thought possible.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Lyra accepts. Feels something settled deep in her chest that felt suspiciously like home. Finally.
That's the true arrival, isn't it? Finding love, belonging after everything. A connection forged through shared adversity, deep understanding. So different from her first mate bond. Their union is symbolic too, merging social strata, new ideals for the kingdom.
And they immediately start making changes.
Yeah.
Real reforms. The rebels are integrated into the royal guard. Werewolf packs get autonomous territories. The relocation camps closed permanently. Discrimination based on species becomes a crime.
Tangible results.
Oh.
Translating the ideals of the revolution into policy. You see the impact pride shining in Captain Darian's eyes, tears of relief among the werewolves. It's a genuine shift from fear to hope, justice and rights replacing oppression.
And Lyra gets this quiet, final victory over her past. She sees Garrett and Celeste at a ceremony. Their body language is all wrong, strain rather than unity. Their bond is shallow, and it's gone spite and convenience.
Mm-hmm.
And Lyra realizes she feels nothing for Garrett. No love, no hate, no longing or regret, just gratitude that his betrayal led her to where she is now.
That's real healing. Indifference to past hurts. Moving beyond anger is liberation. It highlights the difference between their shallow bond and the genuine connection she found. Her past didn't break her, it propelled her.
So they mark this new beginning with a new ceremony, their mating ceremony. Under the Full Moon and the Palace Gardens. It blends ancient werewolf ritual, royal tradition, rebel innovation, a symbol of the new unified kingdom.
Creating new traditions for a new reality, fusing cultures. It's not just a wedding, it's a political statement, a personal one, declaring their partnership.
Lyra wears a gown chosen by Sage, practical enough for a working queen. And Rowan just looks at her with wonder and love and gratitude.
Perfect.
But there's one last absolutely stunning revelation. Captain Drake brings King Aldrich's private papers, and they reveal Lyra's true origins.
There's more.
Oh yeah, she is Luna Princess Lyra Moonwhisper, born to King Edmund Stormwind's brother, making her Rowan's cousin, and Queen Selene Moonwhisper. She was hidden for her safety. She's the rightful Luna of Stormwind. She was always meant to rule.
No way. The foundling is royalty. That recontextualizes everything. Her affinity for pack magic, her leadership, it was inherent. Her suffering wasn't random, it was part of hiding her, protecting her. Aldrich must have known, or suspected. Adds another layer to his paranoia. She wasn't just a substitute, she was the hidden heir.
Incredible, right? The Omega is a princess, a queen by birthright and character, perfectly suited to rule with Rowan. You can just imagine her reaction, words blurred as tears filled her eyes, wonder coloring her voice, the universe confirming her true identity.
Her entire journey, from rejection to revelation, it's about hidden heritage, destiny, true worth being inherent. It brings the whole narrative full circle. Amazing.
And the final scene, King Rowan and Queen Lyra on the balcony at dawn, watching the camps being dismantled, families returning home, watching the kingdom beginning to heal.
A powerful image of hope, the tangible results of their fight, their leadership, justice, restoration. Lyra thinks, this is just the beginning, a promise of a better future.
What a journey. An incredible deep dive today. From Lyra's absolute devastation through palace secrets, rebellion, sacrifice, to discovering her true destiny as a Luna princess and co-ruler. Her story really shows that even in the darkest times, courage, truth, connection, they can rewrite everything. Worth isn't where you start, it's who you become.
Absolutely. A testament to resilience, finding purpose against all odds.
So, as you think about Lyra's extraordinary path, maybe consider this. How often do we, in our own lives, underestimate people? The foundlings, the crippled, those who seem weak or lack status? Do we miss the hidden strengths, the true destinies under the surface? And what could happen if we dared to challenge the narratives we're given? Or if we recognize the real worth in unexpected places? Maybe new bonds could form, new futures could open up.